Hello, everyone. Welcome to Powwow Spanish Lessons. In today's lesson, we'll learn how to use the Spanish suffix ERO or ERO. Now, you may think, what is a suffix? Well, a suffix is a group of letters that you add to the end of a word that will change the meaning. We have a lot of these in English. Think of the words beautifully, splendidly, fully, or softly. If you notice, all of those words end in ly. Ly is the suffix, and it is used to indicate how something was done. For example, she sung so beautifully. Now, Ero has so many uses, and as a result, I've broken this video up into 4 parts. This is part 1 of 4. In order to fully understand Ero, make sure you watch all 4 parts of the ERO videos. Let's get started. All right, so on this screen, we are in a hospital. And you can see here that we have a patient who is sick, and we also have a male and a female nurse. So in this particular video, we are going to go over how ERO refers to someone's occupation, or their trade, or their job. So let's start with this. Since we're in the hospital, we're going to learn the terms for the word nurse. Now, just so you can see here, the word for nurse in Spanish is enfermero, if it's a male nurse, and also the word for Spanish, if it's a female nurse, is enfermera. Now let's go over how we determine that and how we come to those words. So the word for sick in Spanish is enfermo. And this word is an adjective, and it can be masculine or feminine depending on the gender of the person to whom you're referring. So in this particular case, we have enfermo or enferma. As you can see here, there is a patient here and she's sick. And then we have enfermero and enfermera, which refers to a male nurse or a female nurse. Now, let's go over how to construct that. So now, using our ero suffix, let's take the adjective enfermo. And what we're going to do is add the suffix ero to it. So in order to do this, we will have to first remove the O from the end of the word. So we start with enfermo, and then we have to remove the O. Now we're left with our stem, which is infirm. The stem of a word is, the stem is just the root of a word, but it's not the actual word, because it isn't a complete word until you add a particular letter at the end. Like enfermo is a word. However, if you chop off the O, you just have infirm, which is not an actual word. It's just a stem. So when we have this stem, infirm, then based on the gender, we add ero. And we put this together, we have enfermero. Now, again, because the O refers to a masculine gender or male, we have that. This is our original. We have enfermero. And then for the female, we have the A or the A. Enfermera. So here again, we have enfermo, which means sick, but we chop off the O and we have infirm. Then we have the ero, we attach that to infirm, and you have enfermero. And then you have enfermera. Now, this will create the new word, which means nurse. So Therefore, the word for nurse in Spanish is enfermero or enfermera, depending on the person. Literally, you're saying something like someone who works with the sick patients, someone who works with something, someone who works with people who are sick. That is an enfermero or enfermera. And that's how you would get that word. So that's how you come to enfermero here for male nurse and enfermera for female nurse. Now let's continue. To our second example, can you guess what this lady does? If you guess fruit seller or fruit vendor, then you're correct. She is a fruit seller or fruit vendor or produce specialist. There are many different ways to say this, but in essence, she sells fruits. Let's look at how we would say this in Spanish using Ero. First, we take our root word, which in this case is the word frutas, which means fruits in Spanish, because this is what she's selling. So we start with what she's selling. Then we have the stem. And so with this, now we have to add ero to the singular form of the root word. We can't have it in plural. So frutas is plural. However, we have to change it to the singular form before we can add our suffix on it. So the stem here is fruit, or F-R-U-T, fruit. Now, when we do that, that meant that we had to chop off the S, and we had to also chop off the A to get to this. Now we have our stem. So then we add the suffix ero to the stem, and now we have frutero. So we have F-R-U-T-E-R-O, frutero. Now, frutero with the O refers to a male. Therefore, in this case, we have to change the ending from the O to A to refer to a female in this case, because we know she's a lady. So now we're going to change the ending, and we have the final product, which is the word frutera, which means a female fruit seller or fruit vendor. And that's how you would come to this particular word just using ero. So if you were to hear this word in a conversation, you will be able to understand that it was referring to someone who sold fruits. Okay, now was that easy for you? Let's try another one. So here, can you guess what this is? If you guess shoe salesman, you're right. Let's look at how we would say this in Spanish using ero. First, we take our root word, which in this case, the word for shoes in Spanish is zapatos. Now we have to add ero to the singular form of the root word. This means that, again, we have to chop off the S and we have to chop off the O in order to get to our stem. Now we're left with the stem zapat, or Z-A-P-A-T. Then we add the suffix ero, and now we have zapatero. Now in this case, it's a male shoe salesman, so we can keep it at zapatero. So we don't need to change it. However, if it were a woman who was selling shoes, we could say zapatera. But in this particular case, we can keep it at zapatero. And this is our final product. And this is for someone who sells shoes. If they're male, it's zapatero. If it's a female, it's zapatera. Congratulations! You now know how to use the ERO suffix in Spanish. In your Spanish journey, this will help you to become better able to understand Spanish words and learn them much faster, and you'll be able to break them down. Remember, there are 4 parts to this particular suffix. Be sure to watch all 4 parts to get a full understanding of ERO. And this concludes our lesson. Thank you very much. And just remember, if you have a question or if you have a particular concept in Spanish that you would like to have answered, just send an email to isapowwow@gmail.com and we'll be glad to feature your question in our future videos. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.